The president with a warning for the Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey after Frey's meeting with the border czar Tom Homan yesterday. The president posting this on Truth Social. Frey just stated that Minneapolis does not and will not enforce federal immigration laws. This statement's a very serious violation of the law. He is playing with fire. So Marc Thiessen, Fox News contributor. So the president posted that, I guess, about 90 minutes ago, I do believe, based on the clock. And the mayor of Minneapolis went to his social media account and said the following: the job of our police is to keep people safe, not enforce federal immigration laws. I want them preventing homicides, not hunting down a working dad who contributes to Minneapolis and is from Ecuador. Everybody should feel safe calling 911. The disconnect continues. Based on that exchange, I don't see a meeting of the minds just yet. Do you?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, first of all, President Trump Mayor Frey is making the people of Minneapolis less safe by resisting through his sanctuary policies. Tom Homan has made clear, and President Trump has made clear, they want to focus on criminal aliens, people with criminal records who've been arrested for serious crimes, convicted for serious crimes, many of whom are being held by the Minneapolis police in their county jails and their city jails and all the rest of it. And they won't cooperate in handing over those people. As a result, what they have to do is the ICE has to go into the communities and find them once they've been released. And they are doing community sweeps. As a result, they're getting collateral arrests. And there are protests as a result of that. If the stand down is Trump has offered, I will stop those community sweeps if you help us get the people with criminal records. And Frey is saying no. And so what he's proving is that the sanctuary policies are the problem, because the community sweeps are going to continue, because ICE is not going to simply allow people who are murderers, rapists, child sex offenders to just walk out on the streets and blend into the community in Minneapolis. They're going to find them one way or another, and they can do it the easy way or the hard way. And Frey is saying it, you'll have to do the hard way because I'm not going to help you.
All of this is colliding with politics. Of course, there's the midterms, but some people have their eyes on 2028, and that would include the governor of Illinois. Watch him here.
I think it's maybe slightly worse than COVID, even though obviously people were dying in the United States in droves because of what Donald Trump was doing with regard to COVID. But it's a really challenging moment. We've got to abolish what Donald Trump has done to ICE, has made it so that we have to abolish it.
So how do you compare defund the police to abolish ICE? Because the independents that are polled, if you look at independents, they're like, well, we're not for that. We might want some changes, but they're not for abolishing it.
Yeah, so the Democrats are overplaying their hand here. So there are people who think that Trump has gone a little too far in Minneapolis and that they don't like the fact that 2 Americans have died in conflict with ICE agents or with CPB agents, but they support the overarching goal. So when Trump came in, he had a mandate to deport these people. New York Times poll in January, when he was taking office, 90%, almost 90% of Americans support deporting every single criminal alien with a criminal record. 6 in 10 support deporting everybody who came in during the Biden administration, and a 55% majority support deporting everybody who is here illegally. So there's a clear mandate for ICE to go out and get these people. Just because people don't like the way it's happening in Minneapolis doesn't mean that they don't support the overarching goal. So if Democrats are trying to defund ICE, to block funding for ICE in Congress, they're going to shut down the government to stop funding for ICE, that is going to backfire on them, because the American people are not with them on that. They don't want it to happen the way it's happening necessarily, but they want it to happen.
It appears, though, in some places, Minneapolis being one of them, maybe New York's another, that's going to be more targeted. So we'll see how that develops. There are a lot of places and parts of the country where it's happening, but you don't hear about it because they're not making headlines at all. Minnesota's a different story so far. Thank you, Marc, for coming on.
Great
nice
to
to see you. Marc Thiessen.
Take care.
Thanks.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.